It's all so magical.
I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say?
Never done it. I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo. Do you trust me? Say to me,
Have my life.
wonderful time in my you should salam.
Father, and does it say? Good morning.
Say to me,
Have my life.
wonderful Jasmine, you should salam.
Father, and does it say?
I'm going to free you, Janie.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back.
Let's make some magic! I'm a dumbass.
Put that cookie
There's
down.
this girl.
I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say?
It's not time in my life without you. I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say? I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
Kids are stupid.
It's mine. It's death.
Ridiculous!
It's mine. It's
It's all so magical. What are you doing?
Just play along.
Dit aan på YouTube take je op venten man. You suck.
Say to me,
Have my life.
wonderful time in my you should salam.
Father, and does it say?
Say to me,
Have my life.
wonderful time in my you should salam.
Father, and does it say?
Go!
Never done.
I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say? Never done.
I've never had fun. Starry ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say?
Chase. Wondrous place for you and me! That's who!
Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bang, monkey, I crack my head. I bang, monkey, snake, crack my head. I bang, monkey, I swore, crack my head. I bang, monkey, crack my head. Wow, bang, immensely strong. This cause it, I my head, I bang. Sorry, perfect. This cause it, monkey. Pierced Libya is called it. My head and I bang. Sorry, pierced Libya is called it. Drunk monkey, crack my head. I bang monkey. Snake, my head. No, bang. Drunk monkey. I bang monkey. monkey, snake. Immensely strong. This cause in my head. Johnny Landler. Rather shit. Strong. This cause in monkey. Immensely strong. This cause in my head. Johnny Landler. Rather shit. Strong. This cause in
Gay.
very drunk.
Gay.
Beautiful song.
I'm not black.
Beautiful song.
I've got gonorrhea too.
And it's beautiful song.
Afuera.
Look at her. She's old.
No touching.
Nobody ever does. And here I thought you could talk to me.
I love you, Dad.
And here I thought you could talk to me. I'll just have to think of something else. And here I thought you could talk to me. I thought you could talk to me. Things won't be the same. And here I thought you could talk to me. I'll just have to think of something else. And here I thought you could talk to me. I thought you could talk to me. Things won't be the same.
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter?
Get $60 off a 4-week kit from My Patriot Supply by going to prepwithcrowder.com today.
What's up, Mug Clubbers? Please enjoy this fantastic jacket that sits in my closet most of the time. Very expensive. I never wear them because, frankly, they're too constricting. I will not stop giving a voice to people that speak reason and truth and that are intellectually honest. So please go and give it a listen so we can tell the algorithm to go kiss my ass.
Off limits.
Wow. That's buying time sip.
That's a long sip.
That's a generous sip.
Like Tom Hanks.
I just heard someone yelling. And with our headphones on, we can't really hear. I heard someone yelling.
That was me.
That was Tool Man.
Me
Tool Man.
yelling.
This is a little bit nuts today. A little bit nuts. But hey, before we get to anything else breaking, make sure you have this set to make a major announcement. And so we are going to cover it live with rigor. Nikki Haley, major announcement.
Rigor or vigor?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
I don't think you cover something live with rigor.
Try.
With vigor.
Vigor.
With zeal. With zeal. And by that, I mean, of course, with none. So we actually do have today, let's just bring up the rundown. Our team went to the Nikki Haley rally that took place in Texas.
And fell asleep.
Yeah. Here's two main takeaways. The people who are voting for Nikki Haley are not going to vote for Donald Trump. And they're doing so under the guise of, hey, we're more reasonable. We don't send out mean tweets. And they had screeching, and I mean it, screeching Ilhan Omar dress-alikes saying that Nikki Haley had blood on her hands about Palestine. So they're going to treat you the same. Comment below. The Churchill quote, I believe it's appeasing crocodiles just ensures that they'll eat you last. So we have that down at the Nikki Haley rally. We'll be showing you that package. Ginger Snap went down. I don't know if you know about this, but we now have foreign nationals actually taking over our country as in positions of leadership as representatives. And of course, if you look at the policy, these people will be allowed to vote. People will be allowed to, and by these people, I mean non-citizens. And by non-citizens, I mean minorities. And
it could be from Sweden.
At what point does someone who is supposed to represent their constituents are supposed to be representative of the United States of America? At what point is it a problem when they aren't citizens and they have no interest in representing you? Because you can't serve the interests of a nation while serving the interests of people who are not members of this nation. This is unfortunately the false premise of common ground. Hold on a second. We don't have the same values or worldview as, for example, Chinese nationals or people from El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico. Is that racist, or is it just, this is a country, and this is the rule book, and there's the guest book, sign, or we're going to kick your ass out. And what else? Harvard, I don't know if you know this, turns out the Harvard study that this man spoke about, I forgot, is it Fryer?
Yeah.
Fryer.
Tuck.
Black men. Yeah.
Fryer Tuck.
Basically said, we've had this information all along that police officers do not shoot black men at higher rates. Of course, you know this from our Change My Minds, but he said Black Lives Matter was based on a lie, and he was suspended without pay based on trumped-up charges. So that's happening. It's a live show Monday through Thursday. Sorry, Friday. It used to be Monday through Thursday. Weekdays.
It's
Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Weekdays.
And at some point today, I guarantee you, you are going to see this if you're on YouTube. Head on over to Rumble. Number 2, Captain Morgan. How are you, CEO?
I am well, but I'm also pissed. The police thing is...
Well, you know what?
It's going to anger me. I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm just going to...
You are an angry person.
How are you?
You know, if I have a low-level frustration, you have a seething rage.
It goes from pretty much like 0 to I might have to cuss.
Your anger is like the... His anger is like the oil spill in Fern Gully.
Quite.
Yeah. And then, third chair, when you hear this, you thank him for his service. You know him, you love him. He's going to be in Des Moines, Iowa at the Funny Bone March 1st. That's a Friday. Josh Firestine, how are you?
Hey, good. A weird night last night. Weird night. I told you about this earlier, but I don't think I tell everybody. I had to be a death in the family. Mm-hmm. And my wife, that's not the, my wife didn't want to tell our daughter. She was like waiting to tell our daughter, waiting. And finally, I'm like, we got to put her to bed. We going to tell her tonight or tomorrow? She goes, we got to tell her tonight. And then told her right before bed.
Wow.
What a time.
That's,
yeah.
Did that delay bedtime?
I think I will invite Hooper Humperdinck. And Grandma's dead. All right, good night.
Sweet dreams. Grandma's dead.
Oh my God.
That is.
Sorry for your
I mean, I don't know what I can say because I don't want to speak in a condemning way of your wife, but I think that is ill-advised.
Oh, it's all my fault. I should have just not let her put it off,
Yeah, you should have put your foot down.
Yeah, I was like, you tell her. I don't want to deliver bad news. Come on. You're the mom here. I'm the fun guy.
I'll be the good guy later.
Yeah, you deliver the bad news.
And unfortunately, she was, this relative was in her 90s, another one taken too soon.
Too soon.
Look at her. She's old.
Well, no, technically what?
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry for your loss, but thank you for your
Josh.
service.
Sorry and thank you.
So, quick news, actually. Vladimir Putin set off alarm bells by, in a move toward diplomacy, gifting a new luxury car to Kim Jong-un. It was a luxury sedan Urus, which is the first luxury automotive brand from Russia. It was sent to the Korean dictator's estate, accepted on his behalf by his sister, Kim Yo-jong, who immediately drove it into a ditch.
Oh, come on.
So.
Just like the convoys.
Yes.
Wow. Just like those Russian convoys.
They have luxury cars?
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't think
they're
so.
I think it's like a Ford Escort.
Air quotes luxury.
Yeah, no, it's because it has, what is it, bulletproof?
This one has ambidextrous roll-down window.
Oh, you can go either way.
I can go either way. Well, how do you roll it down? It's only go up.
It also has a place for vodka.
That's right.
Yes.
It has place for vodka.
There you go. That's luxury.
Also, it does not run.
And then the backseat, indoor-outdoor pool.
That's right. Outdoor.
It's in the trunk, out the trunk.
That's
In
right.
trunk, out trunk pool, yes.
I like to start my swim inside and end up, I don't know where. So here is a story that we will get to, and by that I mean now. This Harvard econ professor, Roland Fryer, okay? He made some waves in 2016 when he released a study on sort of race and policing in America. Now, the results, and I believe that we use this or we use one of his reference pieces. It basically disabuses people of the notion, these popular narratives that, black people are shot at a higher rate by police officers.
Which is what we were told over and over and over.
It's not true. Now, just to be clear, all references are available at louderwithcarter.com. This man is no conservative.
Nope.
He served as the Education Department's chief equality officer under Michael Bloomberg.
Should tell you everything you need to know. It's not a dig at him. He's just unlikely to be the guy delivering these results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not, a Turning Point USA commentator. And he's black. So that's fun. So he spoke to Barry Weiss, and some people have kind of missed this, but there's some context that I think is not only interesting, but again, directly affects you. Spoke with Barry Weiss regarding the fallout that has taken place from his study.
I collected a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. So what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force every day pushing up against cars and things like that.
Yeah, Whoopi's hair.
People seem to like that result, but we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. It was a 104-page dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. If the second part about the police shootings is a literal conversation, I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they say, yeah, then it would make sense. I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for, because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
Now think about that. Think about that for a second. A man who is effectively telling people he should be the bearer of good news. Hey, this actually isn't, you're not being shot in record numbers, right? Remember they were out there saying it was genocide at one point. They use that for everything now. Now it's trans genocide if you don't want kids on puberty blockers. It's black genocide with police officers. He's going out there saying, hey, actually there's good news here. Not as many people hate you as you've been led to believe, and they're certainly not shooting you in record numbers. He's saying it's less violent than you've been taught, and so he then has to suffer at the hands of violence. This can never end. And this is where we talk about how Al Sharpton and people like and Barack Obama and now Joe Biden, they're kind of all one and the same. They're out of a job if racism goes away. You need to know that race relations are worse now in America than ever, precisely because of what you just saw. That's the academic process. Now I know, because I was published, or sorry, not I, C. Matheson.
That's right, C.
With a study on fat pride in the era of Donald Trump as a form of self-love. That was accepted. When you say, hold on, it's not a scientific process. When you talk about the peer-reviewed process, when you talk about what is then allowed to be taught in schools and higher education, if you simply don't allow certain points of view to be taught, well, then you can say, well, it just didn't fit our parameters. Well, yeah, because you set them, and the parameters that are set right now require that you believe in systemic racism and you believe a lie. The people setting the parameters proactively lie by blocking the truth from their constituents. Now, let me read you this actual study. This is Freier's study. It says, even when officers report civilians have been compliant and no arrest was made, blacks are 21.2% more likely to endure some form of force in an interaction. And this is something we've talked about. You can go back to our Change My Mind videos. As far as unarmed people, there were quite a few years where more unarmed white men were shot. And depending on the year, there can be armed versus unarmed. So that's a number that they'll use to kind of tweak it, where they'll select one in any given year. Now, there are more, I guess you should say, violent police interactions. But what they don't tell you is statistically, black Americans are far more likely not only to resist arrest, but assault officers. So then when you equalize it and you say, okay, hold on a second, the perp has a gun. So at this point, it's not just a judgment call, there's a protocol. Guess what? The numbers are a wash at best. So this context matters. He goes on to say, yet, on the most extreme use of force, officer-involved shootings, we are unable to detect any racial differences. Any racial differences in either the raw data or when accounting for controls. And he went on in his conclusion to say, it is plausible that racial differences in lower level uses of force are simply a distraction, and movements such as Black Lives Matter should seek solutions within their own communities rather than changing the behaviors of police and other external forces.
Pause right there for 1 second. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? You should seek solutions within your own community. Maybe behavioral standards when a cop approaches you. Because, by the way, when he said some level of force, he's not talking about violence. He could be talking about, instead of just talking with you, putting you up against the car and frisking you could be a form of some type of force, even when no arrest is made.
Sure.
So behavior matters is what he's saying. And Black Lives Matter is distorting that part of it.
Right.
So he's like, hey, look at yourself first before saying the cops need to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this guy was a head of a diversity board under Bloomberg. So let's just be really clear here.
Equality board.
Equality board. I don't care. Whatever. If, for instance, blacks use their lived experience with police as evidence that the world is discriminatory, then it is easy to understand why black youth invest less in human capital, or black adults are more likely to believe discrimination is an important determinant of economic outcomes. Black dignity matters, he said. Now, let me give you some quick stats on policing, and then I want to go back to Barack Obama after the Dallas police shooting, because the race relations in this country have taken a nosedive. And they've taken a nosedive precisely because of our institutions that have been overtaken by leftists who require racism, sexism, insert whatever ism or phobia here, to be alive in order for them to have a cause. They don't have a war to fight. They're not digging a trench. And so now we're at the point where it's puberty blockers for children. And if you don't support that, you support transgenocide. Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Not only have we done away with slavery, but not only have we gone through the Civil Rights Act, but there's actually affirmative action in these halls of education. No. Systemic racism is worse than ever more money, please. A grant for me to study systemic racism. It happens all the time. How do I know? Published. Didn't even finish college. So black people in the United States resist arrest 4 times more than whites. I know you'll say, oh, but that's just from the police report. All right. You can't only use statistics when it's convenient for you. Right, and, you can also believe your lying eyes. Have you been to World Star? Police officers are actually 18 and a half times more likely to be killed by a black suspect versus killing a black suspect. Now, this man, Fryer, has a study. Okay. And this is kind of some of the news that some of you folks may not know. The Harvard president then launched a sexual harassment investigation into Fryer. He was suspended for 2 years with no pay, lost access to his lab, where I would imagine he conducted some research. Guess who the Harvard president was?
Well, she was the president. She was a dean at the time.
She was a dean at the time.
Sorry. So she had limited ability.
Then she became president. Because you'll know her as Harvard president.
Claudine Gay.
Claudine Gay, plagiarist.
Oh, the one that got ousted for plagiarism.
Yeah.
Let me give you a couple of tidbits here. She went after him. So the study was put out in 2016.
Yes.
Right? It actually got published in 2017 because it had been peer-reviewed and everything. And they had looked at it and said, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This is a good study. You've done everything right here. And when I say everything right, he didn't believe his own findings. He had 8 full-time researchers going over this. They came back with the results, and he's like, I'm not sure that I believe it. I got 8 more, he said, 8 more full-time researchers to go do it, and they produced the exact same results. It was a rigorous process. This is the man who is the youngest person ever tenured at Harvard at 30. He was the highest paid professor at $600,000 per year, a rising star by everybody's metric, the next brilliant economist. And then he puts out a study that follows the data. And guess who comes a-calling? Claudine Gay, who made a career after going after black people saying the wrong things because it didn't fit her narrative. That's who became president of Harvard. The only reason he wasn't fired is because a dean can't fire you.
Right.
But she suspended him without pay for 2 years, closed his lab, did not just close it down for a little while, got rid of it completely and removed all the funding for it, and then said maybe we'll have harsher penalties for him down the road.
Yeah.
What?
Like, I'm serious. This guy, the same month that he put this paper out, in June, Claudine Gay comes knocking with sexual harassment charges or accusations, allegations.
And it was entrapment.
Same month.
She asked if you wanted to see her tits.
That's true.
And he said no.
And he said, that's plagiarism. I've heard that before.
He said, oh, coming out with the titties all down below your rib cage.
I mean, if they out, they out.
This is so stupid. Like, this guy was attacked.
And
obviously.
this is the reason for Change My Mind. By the way, Change My Minds, when we started, the first ones were never conducted on campus. And we've conducted a lot of them not on campus. But the reason for this is we've actually cited these studies and these statistics, by the way, when we have done, I believe it was the Black Lives Matter, a terrorist organization, Change My Mind, or I don't know if it was affirmative action as racist, Change My Mind. We make all those references available. Why? Because no one is being taught this in higher education. I'm not a teacher, but the professors aren't allowed to teach the research of their own findings if it doesn't suit the narrative that is demanded from the dean, from the president. Insert whoever here.
Yep, exactly.
That's the reason for it. You shouldn't be at SMU. You shouldn't be wherever we go. You shouldn't be there and have students say, I've never heard of that. I've only ever heard that black people are being hunted by police officers. And they say, well, where are you getting that? In this case, your professor. But he's not allowed to talk about it. He's been suspended without pay because Claudine Gay showed him her breasts. Now,
can you imagine if he did that with math? Can you imagine? No, I don't know. I don't believe in square roots, so
I don't fully understand them.
Yeah.
No, I understand them. I don't understand trigonometry. I do it, and then I see the number, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's your right to bias.
What my calculator told me.
So that's interesting too what you bring up, and this brings us to the larger picture of race relations in America. Because if you tell people long enough, you tell one group, this is what happens right now. And this really kind of goes to Barack Obama. He was the great divider, in chief. All right, he would say to black people, "You're being shot, you're being hunted down."
Yeah.
And then we started with, and by the way, white kids who did nothing, by the way, to earn this type of ire, you need to check your privilege. You were born flawed because you're a white male. So you're a victim no matter what. You are the oppressor. Go. What do you think that does? Hey, you go from the era of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in Family Matters, and even before that, The Jeffersons, Will Smith being the biggest film star that's ever existed. The biggest athletes, the most recognizable people on earth at one period in time. Michael Jordan.
Mike
Tyson.
Yep.
You go from that to, hold on a second, BET and World, and now you're fragmented. You've divided people. That is what has happened. You will never have another Will Smith. You will never have another Denzel Washington in a largely white country. We just didn't think about it when we were being raised. And you'll say that's because of your white privilege. No, it's because we weren't being taught that we were racist simply through birth, and our black friends weren't being taught that we were racist. There is no winning that game. And by the way, there is no coming back from that as a country if enough people believe it. So this study was issued July 11th, 2016. Yeah. One day before Barack Obama gave this speech after Dallas police officers, for those of you who don't remember, were slain in the streets.
And so when African Americans from all walks of life, from different communities across the country, voice a growing despair over what they perceive to be unequal treatment, when study after study shows that whites and people of color experience the criminal justice system differently, when mothers and fathers raise their kids right and have the talk about how to respond if stopped by a police officer, yes sir, no sir, but still fear that something terrible may happen when their child walks out the door, still fear that kids being stupid and not quite doing things right might end in tragedy.
Do you remember this time?
Did you just say
I do. I was at a cousin's wedding in Milwaukee.
I was at home and I heard about this and it pissed me off because his rhetoric directly, 100%, the rhetoric from leaders in the black community like Al Sharpton and Barack Obama led to this shooting.
Yes.
Period. It was the straightest line you could freaking draw.
It was the first round of Black Lives Matter.
Exactly. He comes out, comments on Trayvon Martin when apparently every other ongoing investigation is the White House doesn't comment on an ongoing investigation. He fans the flames a little bit.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is happening, and more stuff had happened at that point. And then these police officers were killed. And he comes out and says this. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm really sorry for your loss. We have to do something about crime in this country. We have to do something about people lashing out in this country. We have to do something about whatever, just fixing the problems. He comes out and gives a speech about telling your kids the right thing to do because they may act up. You mean like pulling a gun from your waistband in Chicago? You mean like attacking a cop in Ferguson?
Right.
That acting up? Is that what you're talking about? A guy was killed that went to my church. He was a police officer who was in my church, in my community, protected that church as an off-duty police officer. He'd been killed because of your rhetoric and the kind of rhetoric that you had been pushing your entire life, and you came down and lectured police officers who had just lost a brother about a conversation people have to have because they maybe act up.
Right.
How about come down and say, I'm sorry that I have broken this country in such a way that it may not ever be fixable, and I was supposed to be the person in 2008 that fixed race relations.
How about come down and speak the truth? How about come down and say, now I know that I'm supposed to say that every no, don't get weed up, that every cop is racist, and I'll couch my words so I don't say it, but how about he just comes down and says, look, what we just experienced is the result of officers being 18 times more likely to be shot by a black citizen than shooting a black citizen. We've lost context. Get wee-weed up. He makes up terms because he's full of shit.
He does it every time. Yeah,
no, that's the truth. And by the way, let me just read you. So he said many studies. Again, this is around the same time. You just had that study from Harvard.
Yeah, buried.
Yes. You do not have a free media or free educational system if the rules are not applied equally. So this is around the same time that ProPublica reported that young black males in recent years were at far greater risk of being shot dead by police than their white counterparts, 21 times greater.
Lies.
You can go and look at that study. It is not rigorous.
No.
It is not conducted in the way that the Harvard study was.
Pull that data up. Hold on. Pull that data back up. Hold on. Pull the data up.
What is that?
Real quick. Okay, 2014. I thought I saw 2017. I was about to lose my mind. Okay,
No. This is 2014.
Okay, sorry.
So that came out, and at that period of time, a much more rigorous study had been conducted. that your sexism so overrides your profit motive as a business owner so he said that. Okay, he goes out, he said that's a lie. He goes out and he parrots this line about Black Lives Matter from Black Lives Matter about black people being shot by officers, which is a lie. And hey, you know what? He said, well, my children, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that your black children will grow up in a world where they can smoke crack with a convicted domestic terrorist like Bill Ayers and get into an elite Ivy League school where we have no idea how, considering your background and the academic performance that we know of, get into the halls of Harvard and be actually the, I believe it's the
editor?
Senior editor or the lead editor of the Harvard Review? I believe, was it the Harvard Review or the Harvard Legal Journal? Guys bringing it up to, I believe it's the Harvard Legal Review. The only person in that position who's never been published, ever, and then become president of the United States, who's largely a junior senator with no record, to be clear? Do you mean you're afraid of that kind of world, Barack Obama? And then once you get that platform, you decide to sow racial division and hatred. And here's the thing. These stats are alarming. And the reason this matters is they are trotting this back out for this next election. And they're going to do it for Nikki Haley. Just like, it doesn't matter if your name is Trump, DeSantis, Haley, George W. Bush. Some of you are so young that you don't remember. George W. Bush was called a Nazi and a racist.
Yeah.
George W. Bush. Now they go, this isn't the era of Republicans like George W. Bush, where we had disagreements. There were entire albums, concerts.
Yeah.
There was an entire Code Pink to say that he was a warmonger, he was racist. You could not, at any from I would say a period of a solid 8 years, you could not in any way publicly agree with George W. Bush on any policy without someone shouting out, Halliburton!
That's true. I remember that,
Yeah.
And now they act like, yeah, back then it was more civil. No, it's a lie. They're going to do this to you no matter what. Just like if you're a really, really good white person who goes out and you virtue signal and you check your privilege, guess what? They're gonna come for you anyway. So in 2008, when you look at people in the United States, there were large studies done as far as people's point of view in the United States, how they viewed race relations. 2008, white people, 70% of them said it was good. Black people, 61% of them said it was good. By 2015, it was only 51% of white people and 45% of black people. Wow. So from 2008 to 2015, did we get more racist? And what was the primary change? Barack Obama, the first black president. And I will tell you this to my everlasting shame. Of course I didn't vote for the guy, but I thought, you know what? At least some people will now go, okay, all right, we have had a black president. You know, Tupac said we're never ready. We're not ready for a black president, even though it seems heaven sent. We're not ready for a black president, the drama nerd that he was. We said, okay, now we have a black at least there will be some healing. And instead we saw a drop on race relations by 20 points. And they're going to do the exact same thing this election. Mm-hmm. This was all founded on a lie. And before we get into primaries and micropolitics, this is something people say, hey, what is it that I can do? What is it that you can do in your day-to-day life? Sure. You need to make sure that you vote in legislators and representatives who share your values. But let me give you a cheat code here. Just stop caring. When you interact with black people, if you're a white person, just stop caring about the tension. Just talk to them like you do anyone else. And if you have a question that maybe revolves around them being black because you're curious, ask it. And black people, same thing with white people. Just stop caring. Just stop staring through the fence at each other. Oh, you're afraid that maybe what you're saying could be construed. You'll be construed as racist anyway. Once you throw off that burden and you just say, all right, I don't care anymore. You're going to call me a racist. I know I'm not a racist. You're going to call me a sexist. I know I'm not a sexist. You'll call me transphobic. I know I'm not transphobic. Move on and interact with people as we did for decades. 70% of white people, 60% of black people said, yeah, we're good. The reason it's gotten worse is because you have allowed yourself to be guilted and browbeaten. Don't do it. White guilt, I know. White guilt creates more racism than you know. And a big reason is because black people don't respect weak white people who check their privilege. Do you have any idea how badly they're laughing at you?
You want to kiss my what?
The proud black man, and then they see you like, this man's apologizing for being white. The fuck? They don't have a chip in their brain for that. They don't respect it. It's demanded by people like Barack Obama, who's basically white. By the way, I'm sure we've hit the dump button. None of this happens without you.
Yeah.
You can join Mug Club, $89 annually, or you can try it mugless for $9 a month. The investigative journalism unit, none of it happens. You have this show and another hour of show.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, today we will be covering live, actually. She has a major announcement. Yeah, later on.
Okay.
Major announcement.
Later on.
We said it rapt attention.
Got me excited. I thought we were going to see Nikki Haley asking black people questions.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no. Not Nikki.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, good segment.
She goes, can I touch your hair?
Yeah, that's the first question. Second question.
Yeah, she would affect an accent.
Second question. Why do you prefer Cash App over Venmo? What's that about?
Hey, guys, what is it with walking around on speakerphone in public?
And the mall. What are we doing at the mall?
Yes.
Why are you all at the mall?
And do you all wear shirts with dead people on them and the birth and death date?
See that?
What is this? I see it a lot when I go to racetrack. What's with the shirts and the death date?
We do that in our family. My daughter's wearing grandma's shirts.
Yeah, it was a night shirt.
By the way, good night. Here's grandma's airbrush shirt from the fair.
Exactly. Don't worry, I can identify. I also am too legit.
Yes. You just start playing ghetto gospel.
Yeah.
Those are here to follow me. Sweet dreams. So, Nikki Haley. Okay, look, right now.
Thug Mansion. Sorry, no one came up.
This is me and Nikki Haley, right? I'm talking to Nikki Haley. And
both of you?
One of us is in deep trouble. So,
Oh, boy.
Nikki Haley lost the Nevada primary, which isn't necessarily a real primary, to none of the above. So that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
She vowed to stay in.
Has that ever happened before?
I mean, I'm sure at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you go back to like Taft. So
I lost a basketball game that way once.
all white people here.
They do, yeah.
So she vowed to stay in the race even after South Carolina, which, you're talking about South Carolina. She's going to lose big.
Yeah.
South Carolina. No, you know this.
Her home state?
Yes.
That's not what I heard.
Yeah. Her home state.
Yeah.
Trump's up by 30.
He's up by 31 points.
She's a late bloomer.
It's close.
He's like, I've got you right where I want you.
That's not even the most aggressive poll. That's the average.
And then she just released a comment on her resolve, because she's a strong woman, to stay in the race. She said, 12 fellatios down, 1 to go. 12 fellas down. 12 fellas down, 1 to go.
That's
okay. Hold on a second. Look. You didn't put them down. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Like you weren't sitting in a roof and like, yeah, all right, Tim Scott, I got to beat on you. No, you didn't do anything.
No.
You just had people give you money. And let's be honest, the 1 to go is the only one who matters at this point, and he's 31 points ahead.
Yeah, he's ahead of you in every single category. By the way, I keep thinking back to the Joker, like, poor choice of words. Like,
I know.
With the allegations against you, like, I wouldn't say stuff like that.
What allegations?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're better than that.
Nope.
I know what you're talking about.
It's allegedly.
It's allegedly.
Allegedly.
And lots of smiles on a lot of faces.
Oh,
It's not what her husband.
Now, so we sent our team down. Now, let me just, before, in case you're like, I don't know if I want to watch this package of Nikki. No, it's fun. It's fun. Okay? It's fun.
It is.
If you like watching screaming leftists dressed like Ilhan Omar, it's fun. 2 main takeaways. They, meaning the Nikki Haley voters, I know it's not good to other people, but Nikki Haley voters, we can. They will not vote for Donald Trump. I noticed that trend if Nikki Haley is not the candidate. And they do this, again, under the guise of, we're more reasonable. We truly believe that this can be unifying for the country. And then you notice that the crazy protesters show up screeching anyway. So, was it a waste of time? Partially. Is it fun? Absolutely. We sent our team down to the Nikki Haley rally.
All right, we are out here at Gilly in Dallas, Texas, getting ready for the Nikki Haley rally.
Nikki Haley, you guys! These are doing genocide! How do we feel about Trump, guys?
A lot better than Nikki Haley. You killed a lot of Jews!
Besides the extra heavy pour of aviation gin at the venue's bar, 2 things really jumped out from Nikki Haley's Dallas campaign rally. First, most of her voting base seems to like her inoffensive nature and middle-of-the-road stance on a myriad of issues. And second, the radical leftist protesters don't really care. and see no difference between Nikki Haley and Donald Trump or any Republican candidate for that matter. So no matter how polite or how reserved a candidate tries to be, they aren't going to save themselves from the ire of these radical leftist protesters, insanos, what have you. But as Winston Churchill wisely observed, each one hopes that if he feeds the crocodile enough, it will eat him last. And unfortunately for the appeasers, history's proven that's never really the case.
We are trying to figure out why people would vote for her. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe something we don't know.
When I was governor in South Carolina, I would always refer to South Carolina as mini Texas.
You know, we're really just here because we're curious. We're not trying to be provocateurs like some other people that might be on the premises. So please don't confuse us. We are big J journalists. So we're going to go out here and see what we can find and hopefully talk to some people and get to the bottom of this strange campaign. All right, let's check it out. If for some reason she doesn't get the nomination, is it a never Trump again? Or is it, okay, if Nikki doesn't get the nomination from the RNC, we will vote for Trump? Like, where do you line up on that?
Honest to God?
Yes, sir.
This will be the second time that I don't vote in a presidential election, and the first time I didn't vote was because I was in the middle of moving.
Is there any world where you'd ever vote for Donald Trump in the election?
No.
Would you vote for Biden over Trump, or would you just sit out the vote if they're the two candidates?
I can't help but think he's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. What, Biden?
Biden is the lesser of two evils. I mean, Donald Trump is just... His popularity, in my mind, speaks to the collective interest, the collective intelligence of this country. And that, more than anything, is an indictment on our education system. That we could fall victim to somebody like him.
What's Nikki Haley trying to do here? What do you think she's all
She wants
about?
to continue funding the war.
But funding for what?
She wants to continue to fund the Ukrainians. I'm not a fan of Latin, but I also understand that our country has trade-offs. We have bigger issues in places like the Asia Pacific.
KKK. A white man who's never been suppressed. A white man who steals lands and doesn't give a about any minorities.
What are some specific positions of hers that you kind of identify the most with that make you most attracted to her candidacy?
Well, number one, she has plenty of foreign experience. Number two, she's not dead set against abortion. She's willing to listen. She understands that. She said, don't hate me because I'm pro-life, and I won't hate you because you want an abortion.
So are you both planning to vote for Ms. Haley?
At this point, yes.
And what about her candidacy, or what about her as a candidate makes her attractive to earn your vote?
Well, I like, a big part of her campaign is this country can do better than the other two choices. We like the fact that she's got some foreign affairs, government chops. I think from what I can gather, she was a successful governor in South Carolina. And in my mind, she's the most sensible choice at this point.
Bless his heart. Then we want to make sure we open up the middle class. We're watching the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. We want to open up the middle class by eliminating the federal gas and diesel tax in this country. We're watching the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. We want to open up the middle class by eliminating the federal gas and diesel tax in this country. We want to cut taxes on the middle class and simplify the brackets. And we want to make small business tax cuts permanent.
As far as her positions on Russia, Ukraine, obviously there's two sides to what people are telling. What is your impression of what her policy is on the matter?
I think, again, all I can say is that she's going to be very moderate in things. She's not going to be an extreme Republican. She's not going to be a overly liberal Democrat on anything. And this is what's attracting me to her. Last time I voted for Donald Trump, because I've been a Republican since I'm 18 years old. He was good for that time. I'm sorry, but that time's over.
And do you think the U.S. has the ability right now to engage fully with Russia, Ukraine, while still keeping priorities on Asia, specifically China? Do you think our military has the capacity to do that?
I'm not sure. the answer to your question is, if I knew that, I'd probably be up there with her running for. So I don't necessarily believe anybody who says they're certain we can. I mean, if we're not careful, we're going to get spread too thin. But at this point, we have to support our allies to the degree we can. But wars on different sides of the world, I'm not sure how we'd fare. I'm not worried they'd attack us, but I mean, we may have to make some choices.
Go out and tell it. It's a genocide!
You gotta give them an A for spirit. I'll give them that.
Stop pushing over, you will go to jail. Go, tell me!
Let's tell someone.
Just walk it out! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Can we just say baby killer?
What do you think attracted people to him in the first place?
Well, there's a lot of people that think they were left behind and that the government's done them wrong, but nobody speaks for them. But and that's fine, and I know a lot of people like that, and I respect that. The problem is he's given a voice to too many of the wrong people. The white nationalists and all the far right extremists. He's made them. He's just giving them power, and I mean everybody's got a right, but you don't need the president of the United States saying, the Ku Klux Klan or those folks should be in power. I mean, it's the road to nowhere. We have to learn to work together to make progress, and he's just got his own grievance agenda.
So, we did that.
I love how the lady was, she's like, yeah, I said baby killer. Did you hear me?
No, they said baby killer to her.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which that's like
laughing.
That's like a badge of honor. As a matter of fact, if you walk, they excommunicate you. They exile you if you're not baby killer. They rip it like,
what?
Oh, really? No one called you baby killer.
Is that like your street cred? Like you got to prove it?
Yeah.
It's like a motorcycle gang.
Yes.
And they burn your cut off of you, or what do they do? They rip your tattoo. What I don't know. Sons of Anarchy.
Don't you ever let me see you wearing a 3-piece baby killer rocker.
Oh no,
you're not one of us.
Oh my gosh, I love we get to do those exclusives now. We really appreciate all the support from people. And hey, by the way, look, if you have not entered for the truck giveaway yet, please go do so. There's only 9 days left to do that. You get a brand new Ford Raptor, $10,000 in cash. Dollar spend equals an entry, and you can get like some of the shirts that we've got on right now.
Yeah, you can.
Like get the new.
And it's not a Russian made. It's not a Russian made car.
It's not a Russian made car or shirt.
No,
shirts not made.
I learned when I went over to Europe, they have totally different car brands. You guys can comment below or hit the like Brio. Was that one? Brio was a rental car. Like, what is it? Brio? I never heard of it.
What is that? Cheese?
I have no. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's like a Honda Brio.
Yeah, some crackers and Brio.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it was like driving a piece of cheese because that car stunk.
Yeah.
Brio.
By the way,
I don't know what that means.
I just failed to mention where to go to crowdershop.com.
Yeah, crowdershop.com.
I fail.
Now, hold on. Before we get to the foreign nationals infiltrating your government and most important institutional establishments, some troubling news here at Louder with Crowder.
Yeah.
Our good friend Russian Gay is in jail for tax evasion.
Funny you mentioned that. We're getting a call from the Federal Minimum Security Correctional Institute of Seagoville.
Oh, yeah, that's
now. Is that
that's
him?
That's Russian Gay. Now Prison Gay. Yeah, put him on.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Let's go.
Hey, Steven, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. How's prison?
Not as bad as I was expecting, I'll be honest.
Okay, so have you made any friends yet in there?
Some of the guys are pretty friendly, actually. My cellmate showed me how to make toilet wine.
Oh.
But I slipped and blacked out and hit my head on the toilet. Those slippery tiles,
Yeah. Well, are you okay?
Yeah, my head's fine. It kind of hurts to sit down, though, I'll be honest.
Did you fall on your butt?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. It was all a blur.
Oh.
Does your cellmate remember what happened?
He said he didn't see nothing, but he was friendly about it, and he laid me on the bed while I was out. Made sure I was okay.
Gary,
Oh.
that sounds like you were raped a lot.
No, come on.
No,
No way.
No, I'm pretty sure you were sexually assaulted.
If someone raped me, I think my cellmate would have told me about it.
Yeah, I think your cellmate's lying.
Yeah.
He's not reliable. What's he in for?
Sexual assault?
Okay. Well, we'll send you some money for you to use at the commissary and, chin up. Tim, cut it. This is sad. All right.
He's going to need a cream or something.
I don't think so. He was smiling. He seemed, he seemed happy about it.
I don't think there's a shortage. So,
kind of paste.
Yeah.
He wasn't in that much pain.
No, I don't know.
He seemed all right.
Why does that happen at a minimum security? That shouldn't happen there. That's white collar. Like you wear ankle bracelets and breathalyzers.
That's true.
Yeah, he looks all
I don't know.
gangster. He got tattoos.
I don't know how it
What's
happened.
going on with him?
It happens. He just passed out.
Yeah.
He just fell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll check back in with him here in the coming weeks. This is a fundamental question here. At what point does your government cease to represent you? And I think that when people talk about the elites and they talk about the swamp and people in power, it really comes down to Americans feeling as though they are not represented by the people, well, either A, who they've elected, or, of course, completely unelected officials,
Right,
people
yeah.
like the Faucis of the
Appointees.
world. Appointees. It's effectively a coronation with a lot of those folks. So that seems to be, it's not about rich or poor. It's not about haves and have-nots. It's not about black or white. It is about people who are able to abuse the system and effectively never be ousted. And they are part of the system, and they've designed the system, meaning our system of government, how it exists now, in a way that is no longer representative of the American citizenry. And then that's exacerbated by the fact that they need more votes. They need to buy more votes. Right? This is really what it comes down to in politics. Maximize credit for wins and minimize liability for losses. That's what they're all seeking to do. And running for office is not the same as serving the public. These are two entirely different businesses, for lack of a better term. So what do we see here? We do see specifically Democrats, as a matter of the party platform, pushing a series of policies, measures to replace Americans with non-citizens. Not a white-black thing, just to be clear, before you say, not saying great replacement in the way that I don't care what David Duke says. We're talking about replacing Americans who are less likely to vote for them than non-citizens who are a blank slate and say, I'll vote for the people who gave me the free stuff. So, San Francisco, to be clear, just put a non-citizen Chinese national on their election commission.
I told them that if they would do this, that South Carolina would wrap their arms around them and take care of them. I now officially work for you. There is nothing that you could need that we won't make sure that we deliver.
Sorry, Wong clip. Here's the actual Wong clip.
咁就其實喺2年前我嚟到三藩市嘅時候咧，咁我就認識咗好多原來三藩市有好多嘅權利嘅喎，好多權利係好多非公民啊、移民咧都可以享有嘅，包括咧就算你唔係公民咧都可以咧去做委員去影響政策嘅。
Okay. This has nothing to do with the fact that she is Asian.
Nothing at all.
We all like Asian ladies. There are a lot of giant red communist flags, however, that are being raised. So,
and Nikki Haley?
From 2022 to 2024, this person was an immigrant rights community activist. 2020 UN Refugee Agency is where she was. And then 2017 to 2018, and then in 2020 as well, the UN Migration Agency, as well as she put on her resume, lots of sex with Eric Swalwell.
She's Fang Fang?
You would no, she's just another one.
Oh.
I was wondering how she got that job.
She's one of many.
That's where 2019 went, because that's not on her resume.
So let's go through a few other leftist ploys right now, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. That is, I don't want to, it's not a conspiracy if they're saying this out in the open. They're looking. Here's what they say. They will say, well, yeah, we believe in supporting this policy. We believe in enacting this policy. And that'll give these people effectively carte blanche. It'll give them a free path to citizenship, even though it wouldn't apply in any other country throughout the history of Earth ever. That's what they say. What they really want to do is replace people who are less likely to vote for them, natural-born American citizens, that's just a fact, than immigrants who benefit from social safety nets that they have not paid into. They are looking to replace you as a voting base. If you look at it, does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you look at it through that logical lens, okay, here's one example. Fast fact one. They're actively pushing for non-citizens to vote before we even talk about holding higher office. So there are a multitude of cities, states, actively, we're not just talking about voter ID, actively attempting to allow non-citizens to vote out in the open.
Who exactly has the right to vote here in the U.S.? That's the debate tonight in Santa Ana.
There's no debate.
City Council is debating a proposed ordinance that would significantly expand voting rights.
Yes, in fact, it would give non-citizen residents who make up nearly a quarter of the city's population the chance to vote.
Think about how this is the problem with traditional media.
Yeah.
They're saying that without horror on their face.
Yes.
Like, yes, as a matter of fact, that would allow many non-citizens like MS-13 to decide the outcome of our elected officials.
Anybody who happens to be here at the time. I mean,
back to you, person who's out there on another camera.
Illegals are breaking the law, but good news, they're making new laws.
Exactly.
Yeah. Soon enough, it won't be illegal.
The greatest country on earth. So the places where this is being debated, Arizona, Vermont, you have Boston, New York City, Oakland, California, Washington, D.C.
Good for you, Oakland. I hope you get that.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're finally going to get it right.
You get what you deserve in that case.
And we can imagine what non-citizens voting would look like. This is not something sure.
Is that Jackie Chan?
Sure.
Wait, that's Celine Dion.
I'm more upset.
Megatron. Zelensky. Come on.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot of influence in the election there.
A little jerk.
Celine Dion. Can't wait for that new Celine Dion song.
I love how the Photoshop has a pan. Sorry, I stepped on it. What, Celine Dion what?
Celine Dion's new song, Your Vote Will Count On.
Yes.
Oh. Near or far, wherever you are.
Yeah.
I like it. Wherever you're from, come on in.
As an aside, Celine Dion is an idiot. Now, I say this as Canadian as possible. Celine Dion, remember after Hurricane Katrina? When she went out, she goes, this is terrible. And when the people were, of course, there was looting, and she goes, let these people, they just want to touch these things, these expensive things. Let them touch it for once. She goes, and I would go, if I could, I would go in and I would save these people in a canoe. It's like, first off, nothing's stopping you.
That's right.
Second, this is not a canoe. This is a kayak, which means you can fit nobody to bring back.
I think that was actually Donald Trump's dance.
Yes, yeah. My heart will go on, folks. So, let's go to the real reason here. Well, I guess I should say, you see that out in the open, but this is why they were leading up to this, where they're pushing against voter ID. Democrats, we've talked about this. We did a voter ID is not racist, changed my mind. 75% of American voters support voter ID, just meaning having identification to vote. And I know you're going to say, well, that's mostly white people. No, it's 74% of whites, 69% of blacks, 82% of others or other minorities, which just seems like, hey, come on, let's separate the Asians and the Latinos at least. Let's get a good scope here.
Yeah. And even the younger, like a subset, even the younger people believe it more than the old people under 40.
Right.
Believe it at a much higher rate than people over 40. It's like everybody believes this. Even people who would be liberal.
And not that policies should be determined by popularity.
Right.
However, when you see a policy that is in complete opposition, diametric opposition to the will of all American citizens, on average, and this has been the norm for a very long time, that's when your radar should be going off.
75% is a lot.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Significant.
You can't get 75% of people to agree on anything.
No. I can't get 75% of my household to agree on what I'm going to cook for dinner. You know?
Right. Or when to tell your offspring about passing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Josh. Thank you for your service. Now, here's another fast fact for you.
Sorry for your loss.
Don't let this one hit you in the teeth. It's high velocity. Now, the left is allowing non-citizens to serve in civil service. So this actually is 2024, I believe.
Yeah, this year.
This is an Illinois law that allows non-citizens. And I know you're going to say, I don't really see a problem, but then I want you to think about it. See, it doesn't take that long. It allows non-citizens to become police officers.
Federal law states that only citizens can serve as officers and deputies, but a bill that has passed the House and Senate would change that for work-eligible immigrants. The bill's sponsor called it a natural progression.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a natural progression, but let's just put this in context. Someone without papers could demand that you produce your papers. Also, you are going to have a disproportionate percentage of South American illegal immigrants in the police force. Do you have any idea the tension that exists between the Latin American community and blacks in South Central LA? This is not going to end well.
No, it's not. Cop comes up to your window, show me your ID. You first!
Yeah. You think that white suburban police officers are a problem for inner city communities?
Oh, man.
Put a bunch of cholos on the job who don't even have an ID.
Can't wait for that riot. Bring back white cops. It'd be great destroying Santa Ana. Bring him back.
Where's Mark Furman when you need him?
True.
This black guy gets pulled over, he just rosary tossed through the window. Bang, 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 bang. Jesus, what would you do if you were pulled over? Comment below. Pulled over by an illegal immigrant. How would you know? Well, you'd have to take a guess.
It's non-legal.
Yeah.
Non-legal.
What did I say?
You said illegal.
Illegal immigrant.
I'm just saying this is what they say. It's non.
Oh, it's non-legal.
I'm making fun of them, not you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I think the difference between non-legal and illegal, it's like one of them's like allowed to be here, right? Like on visa or like a work release?
No. It's just wordplay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's an immigrant. That is a legal immigrant. Someone's on a visa or someone who has a green card.
That's illegal.
Yeah, they're just not a naturalized citizen. They haven't actually gone through the naturalization oath. And that means that people who are police officers haven't. So here's the problem, too. And we're going to get to the military and illegal immigrants serving in the military. Anyone out there who's a legal immigrant, and I've had them in my family, people who have come from Canada, and a lot of friends who have gone through this, particularly a lot of Brazilian friends, because I ran in those circles for a while. They're still always very late. But
unless it's for Carnival.
Yeah, like Carnival. It is a sexually charged culture. Now,
yowza.
The problem here is if you have, and comment below, if you are a legal immigrant, you know what the naturalization oath is, and that's being loyal to the Constitution, the laws of this country, right? You have to show an understanding of the founding of this country, basic civics, effectively. But allowing people who have not gone through that process, who may have no interest in going through that process, to police communities or to fight wars. And by the way, the military doesn't just fight wars, but the military has been used against citizens of this country multiple times. If you look at the Guard being deployed, that is a very dangerous precedent to set. And we'll get to the military portion in a little bit, but here's something else that is also concerning. Here's another fact for you. 3. I did 2. I meant 3. They are now the policy that is being proposed. And it's, well, actually it has already been enacted, but it is something that they're fighting for aggressively. Illegal immigrants are now being counted in the actual census.
All new at 6 o'clock, undocumented immigrants will count in the 2020 census. One of President Biden's executive orders reversed the Trump administration's effort to exclude them from the count. Channel 3 Waterbury Bureau Chief Dennis Valera shows us how this is giving hope that the Brass City will get a more accurate count.
Now, I know you might be saying, oh, these are semantics. No. The census is important. It allocates House seats, federal funding, determining which cities will be the beneficiaries of a lot of public programs. So what ends up happening is blue states are able to get more seats and funding thanks to illegal immigrants. So you have cities who enact policies, right? Sanctuary cities, and that actually affects the makeup of the state and the demographic makeup of the state, as well as what kind of funding is allocated to which municipalities. It directly affects you. The real problem here is, well, there are a lot of problems, but the message that we're sending pretty consistently to people now is, why? Why? American dream? Work? Pay your taxes? Why? Why? Oh, because someone will haul you off if you don't with guns. That's really what the IRS is. You should have just come here illegally and worked off the books, became a police officer, or served public office at that point, and you get off scot-free. What is the incentive at this point? I genuinely believe that this is punishing citizens, law-abiding citizens at this point, where the American dream is, funny enough, it's more dead for people who have been trying to live it the way that their parents or their grandparents did. Work hard, work in a company, live beneath your means. Let's go through all this. Okay, do the legal thing. No. You actually benefit more if you come here illegally.
Yeah.
Pay your taxes. No. Think about that. Save, live below your means, or Don't. And the government makes it up. You look at those SNAP cards in New York, illegal immigrants getting more than the actual citizens of the city. You are incentivized to do things the wrong way. Why? It's about turning law-abiding citizens into criminals and criminals into a voting bloc. That's what is happening right now. And we're actually going to continue with this on Mug Club because I know we're going a little bit late and I'm supposed to be keeping this under an hour. So if you're watching on Rumble, you just click that button and you get to join because we're also going to be covering Nikki Haley. What?
Nikki Haley?
Yeah, Nikki Haley live. She has a major announcement. So we're going to finish this segment, but I'm looking forward to what Nikki Haley has to say. Sure. And before we go, you saw this at the beginning, you can go to prepwithcrowder.com and get $60 off a 4-week food supply kit, which you don't need to be a doomsday prepper for this. You should always have enough dried food for a couple of months, some water that you can use in case there's some kind of a natural disaster or an emergency or, I don't know, race riots. And something to heat it with, like a little Bunsen burner. There you go. Unless they've confiscated your Harvard lab. Okay. I don't think his lab was a Bunsen burner lab. I don't think his lab was a Bunsen burner.
Burning things.
It's just mixing.
What is he, the Joker, just lighting money on fire?
Well, that was me. I did that in high school. They made us dissect a sheep's eye, and instead, I decided to burn it. Nice. So, we're going to get into illegal immigrants in the military as well, and the Nikki Haley announcement. Thank you very much, Rumble and YouTube. Piss off.